And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Presidential spokesperson and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo mentions in a news briefing today the possibility of artificial water shortage in some parts of Metro Manila. Secretary Panelo pointed out mismanagement and inefficiency may be the cause of the problem. He added that the Office of the President is set to investigate on the said issue. The presidential spokesperson also gave a warning to those behind the burgeoning water crisis.
Yung concessionaire, sir, pwede silang ma-held accountable for it.
Siyempre, kung silang may kasalanan, we'll make sure that they will be accountable.
Owners of water refilling stations in the east zone of Metro Manila have increased the prices of the water they sell. This as some of them import water from neighboring cities such as Manila City, which is not affected by Manila Water's water service interruption schedule. The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, meanwhile warns water station owners not to increase the price of bottled water.
Hindi sila pwedeng magsamantala dahil papasok na ang DTI. Hindi porke refilling lang sila ay hindi na namin sakop. Siyempre, the fact na binubotan nila yan para inumin, papasok na ngayon ang jurisdiction ng DTI.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Wednesday said he would fire another set of officials for not cooperating with his administration in its fight against corruption. The president did not identify the officials, but it can be noted that the president has lashed out several officials from the Department of Agrarian Reform for sitting on land distribution cases. The latest official to leave government is former Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office General Manager Alexander Balutan.
And I will be firing another set of officials. I'm sorry. Mahirap kasi. Yan lang ang ano ko. Now, if you want to help me run the government at yung programa ko.
Meanwhile, the Philippine government is seen to operate under a reenacted budget until August this year. This as the leaderships of both houses of Congress have apparently failed to resolve their issues after the meeting with President Rodrigo Duterte last Tuesday night. Under the reenacted budget, the government's key programs and major infrastructure projects such as Build, Build, Build would be hampered. Meanwhile, Malacañang expressed frustration over the delayed passage of the 2019 budget.
Tao magsasuffer, di siyempre, apektuhan lahat yan. No, hindi ba, one-time news briefing, I said, there should be one department who should be responsible for all the projects all over the Philippines. Yun lang ang trabaho nila, iikot sila para sabihin na, ito, kailangan ng, di ba, para tingnan natin kung may tatakbo pa sa Kongreso. Palagi tayong nagiging hostage ng away nila.
Acting upon orders of President Rodrigo Duterte, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, today filed complaints before the Office of the Ombudsman against 46 incumbent government officials for their alleged involvement in illegal drug trade and activities. DILG Secretary Eduardo M. Año said the initial list of narco pols facing charges before the Ombudsman were provided by the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, or PDEA. The initial list released to the public by the President includes 35 mayors, 7 vice mayors, 1 provincial board member, and 3 members of the House of Representatives. He said the 46 narco pols are facing administrative charges of grave misconduct, conduct prejudicial to the best interest of service, conduct unbecoming of a public officer, and gross neglect of duty. According to the DILG chief, the involvement of the respondents to illegal drugs was evaluated and judiciously validated by the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, or ICAD, chaired by PDEA in coordination with the Philippine National Police, Armed Forces of the Philippines, National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, among others. In other news, over 12 hours after outages began, some users of Facebook family of apps are still unable to use them as normal. Nearly all of Facebook's services, including WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook Messenger, were affected by the problems. Instagram has since announced that its services are now fully restored, but Down Detector's live outage map shows some parts of Europe still facing issues, and users have reported being unable to post updates and replies. Facebook, which has more than 2 billion users, acknowledged the outage and is working to fix the problem. Anyone affected by Facebook's outage was faced with an error message. Instagram, too, was not loading for many users around the world, with notifications showing up stating something went wrong when trying to refresh the feed. According to Down Detector, the website that shows real-time outages on different kinds of services around the world, the problem does seem widespread, with most users facing complete shutdown of services. With thousands of users complaining on Twitter, and hashtags Facebook down and hashtag Instagram down quickly trended on topics worldwide. And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. The United States grounded Boeing 737 MAX aircraft over safety fears, leaving the world's largest plane maker facing its worst crisis in years. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
Some passengers on Boeing Company 737 MAX jets wish they had known what they were getting into when they boarded planes on Wednesday. Madison Appleby said she would never have boarded her plane heading to Washington, D.C. had she known what she was getting into.
Flight was okay. I think it went pretty smooth.
Would you have taken the flight, did you know?
No, absolutely not.
The United States Wednesday joined Europe, China, and other countries in grounding Boeing Company 737 MAX jets because of safety concerns. Boeing, meanwhile, recommended a temporary suspension of its entire global fleet of the 737 MAX aircraft after the Ethiopian Airlines crash killed all 157 people on board. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, cited new satellite data and evidence from the scene of Sunday's crash near Addis Ababa for its decision to ground the planes. Sunday's Ethiopia Airlines crash was the second accident involving the U.S.-based aerospace giant's MAX 8 model within 6 months. Last October, a Lion Air-operated MAX 8 went down in Indonesia, killing 189 people. Both crashes took place shortly after takeoff and have prompted intense scrutiny over the plane's control systems.
It became clear to all parties, actually, that the track of the Ethiopian airline flight was very close and behaved very similarly to the Lion Air
U.S.
flight.
airlines that operate the 737 MAX, Southwest Airlines Company, American Airlines Group Incorporated, and United Airlines said they were working to rebook passengers. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
South Korean police questioned 2 K-pop stars on Thursday as allegations of sex tapes, prostitutes, and secret chats about rape rocked South Korea's music world and hit entertainment stocks. Singer and K-pop boy band Big Bang member Yi Sung-yeon, 28, better known by the stage name Seungri, is suspected of what is known as sexual bribery by paying for prostitutes for foreign businessmen to drum up investment in his business. He denies any wrongdoing and said he would cooperate with the police investigation when he arrived at Seoul's Metropolitan Police Agency. Another singer and television celebrity, Jung Jung-young, is also in trouble. Jung admitted on Wednesday to having involvement on the allegations of sex taping. He appeared at the same police station earlier on Thursday to help police with an investigation into suspicions he distributed the videos. Full House actress Lori Loughlin appeared in federal court in Los Angeles on Wednesday. The actress is accused of taking part in a sprawling scheme exposed this week in which wealthy parents paid for their children to cheat their way into elite U.S. colleges. U.S. Magistrate Steve Kim ordered Loughlin released from federal custody on $1 million bond following a brief hearing. Douglas Hodge, the former chief executive of the investment firm PIMCO, and another of the 33 parents charged in the $25 million scam, also appeared in a Boston court on Wednesday. A magistrate judge released him on $500,000 secured bond and overruled a federal prosecutor's objection to Hodge keeping his passport. Laughlin and Hodge are among 50 people charged with taking part in the largest such scandal in U.S. history, which prosecutors said steered graduating high school students into elite universities including Yale, Georgetown, and Stanford by cheating the admissions process. Authorities are racing to save the children trapped in a collapsed building housing a school in Lagos, Nigeria. Meanwhile, the reputed boss of New York's Gambino crime family was gunned down outside his home in New York. Here's Jovic Burmas to tell us why.
In USA, Gambino family mobster Francesco Francali has been murdered in what local media say is the first major New York gang killing in more than 30 years. The 53-year-old Cali was shot multiple times outside his car on Staten Island after 9 p.m. by an unidentified man who then fled the scene in a blue car. Witnesses said they heard at least 6 shots coming from outside and seeing Cali's family members rushing outside and crying next to his body. No arrests have been made at this time. In Brazil, a vigil was held on Wednesday night for victims of a school shooting that left at least 5 students and 2 school officials dead. People gathered outside the Raul Brazil School in Suzano near Sao Paulo, where the shooting occurred to remember the victims. Candles were lit by the walls surrounding the school. The attack earlier in the day was carried out by 2 former students of the school. 10 people, including the 2 attackers, were killed in total. The students who died were boys, mostly 15 and 16 years old. Police identified the assailants. According to police, the 2 assailants spent more than a year planning their attack, which they hoped would draw more attention than the Columbine massacre. In the 1999 attack on Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, the students killed 13 people. A motive was not yet clear. And in Nigeria, at least 10 people have been killed and many others still trapped after a building housing a school and apartments collapsed Wednesday in Lagos, Nigeria. Shocked residents, onlookers, and parents raced to the site to initiate rescue efforts before emergency workers had arrived. The school had 172 registered pupils. Local officials said it was difficult to give accurate casualty figures as the rescue operation was still ongoing. According to Lagos State building officials, the building had been marked 3 times for demolition. The exact cause of the collapse is yet to be ascertained. A government official said a thorough investigation into the incident will be launched. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath de Baraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. A Filipino dominates fellow chess masters in an international chess tournament in Vietnam. Jane Robles will tell us why.
Negros Occidental native FIDE master Nelson Villanueva ruled the 9th HD Bank Cup International Chess Tournament 2019, held at the Rex Hotel in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, yesterday. 39-year-old Villanueva collected 7.5 points on 6 wins and 3 draws in 9 outings. He brought home the title and the trophy, plus $1,200 cash prize from the 9-round Challengers Section Tournament, which attracted 156 players.
Ako sa pagkapanalo ko ngayon sa tournament na ito, proud po ako na pagka-represent ng Philippines. Kahit na mahirap yung laban, masaya ako na naipanalo ko Challenger section.
Participating countries and regions in the Challenger sections were Mongolia, India, Australia, USA, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Hong Kong, Vietnam, and the Philippines. The renowned HD Bank International Chess Tournament has helped boost Vietnam's reputation in international chess, making it one of the most prestigious competitions in Asia. Jane Robles, UNTV News and Rescue, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
For 50 years, an Israeli oil company kept bathers and scuba divers away from a prime strip of beach in the Red Sea resort of Eilat. but it couldn't stop the sea life. Nina Armilio tells us why.
A spectacular and diverse reef, undisturbed by the splashes of 3 million beach-loving islet visitors each year, has blossomed. The corals made the oil pipeline and the simple docking pier their home. A year and a half ago, the 300-meter-long beach was handed back to the public after the Eilat Ashkelon Pipeline Company, or EAPC, scaled back its operations.
The most complicated part of opening this beach is to preserve the wealth of species we have here and the uniqueness of this spot on one hand, while still allowing the public to enjoy the natural treasures in Iliat Bay.
Scientists found a magical undersea world of unspoiled corals and schools of fish. Faced with the huge visitor interest in the virgin site, Israel's Nature and Parks Authority decided to relocate the corals for their own protection, so the industrial debris left by the EAPC could be removed.
At the bottom of the sea here, there's a lot of old waste that accumulated over the years, and we need to get it out. The problem is that many corals and various natural riches accumulated on top of this waste, on top of these objects, and we need to remove them before we take out the waste.
It's a strenuous and complicated task, but the hundreds of colonies of coral must be relocated one by one delicately. The reefs of the Gulf of Eilat are the only coral reefs in Israel. Nina Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
Step aside, Frances Bacon. Brandishing a paintbrush in her snout, Pigcasso enthusiastically tosses her head to create bright, bold strokes across a canvas propped up in her sty. The sow was rescued from an abattoir as a piglet and brought to an animal sanctuary in Franschhoek in South Africa's Western Cape region in 2016, where her new owner noticed her love of color and paintbrushes. Except for the occasional burst of creativity, Pigcasso spends most of her days eating, strolling, and sleeping. The pig has earned the right to rest. Her paintings can sell for almost $4,000 each, with the proceeds going to animal welfare. And those are the reasons behind the news, March 14, 2019. On behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.